My name is Ryan Cleary. I'm your Member of Parliament for St. John's South, Mount Pearl. It's been a very busy week here in Ottawa, although I didn't get here until Tuesday. On Monday, all the flights were shut down because of the fog. But that was a good thing. It gave me an opportunity on Monday to attend the rally over the shutdown of the Maritime Rescue Subcentre on the south side of St. John's Harbour. I flew in on Monday evening. On Tuesday morning, first thing, I appeared before the Industry Committee. So did the Minister of State responsible for the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, Bernard Valcourt. I'm the critic for ACOA, so I had an opportunity to grill the Minister about patronage with ACOA in Prince Edward Island. Have a listen. I'm here as critic for ACOA. My questions have to do with longtime Conservatives being appointed to high-profile jobs with Atlantic development agencies like ACOA. At last count, the Conservatives have hired at least 10 people with links to the party for those agencies since they've been in power, since the Conservatives have been in power in 2006. And of course, it's been reported that the Public Service Commission of Canada is investigating possible connections between the Conservative government and appointments to ACOA. My first question has to do specifically with Kevin McAdam. Now, McAdam, for those who don't know, is a failed Conservative candidate and a former staffer to Nova Scotia Cabinet Minister Peter MacKay. On Christmas Eve 2010, McAdam was appointed to the job of Director General of Regional Operations with ACOA in Prince Edward Island. The job pays between $115,000 a year and $135,000 a year. Quite the Christmas gift, I guess you could say. The Public Service Commission is still investigating, or so that's what I understand. We'll see where that goes. McAdam took the ACOA job in February 2011, but from what I understand, he is yet to report to work. He immediately took leave to study French in Ottawa here for 2 years. So my first question specifically is this. Why isn't McAdam taking French language training in Charlottetown when it's offered there? It's been a long week. I'd forgotten how busy Tuesday was. Not only did I appear before the Industry Committee and grill the minister responsible for ACOA about patronage, later that day I also gave a 10-minute speech in the House of Commons about the 2012 Conservative budget, the Budget Implementation Act. The Act is actually an omnibus act, which means there's a lot more in the budget than just legislation to do with the budget. 1/3 of the bill has to do with the environment and gutting environmental legislation. We've got a clip for that right now.
Let me be clear from the get-go, Mr. Speaker. Not only do I rise in opposition to the Conservative budget, which is a backward step in so many ways for Newfoundland and Labrador and all of Canada, then again, step isn't the right word. Backward leap seems more appropriate. A backward leap for Newfoundland and Labrador and all of Canada, because this bill is an omnibus bill, a massive bill, 421 pages long, that not only contains the means to implement the 2012 budget, but contains dozens and dozens of other measures buried in its pages, hidden in its pages, measures that have nothing to do with the budget, measures that include everything but the kitchen sink, from increasing the age of eligibility for old age pension to 67 from 65, to gutting the Federal Fisheries Act, to ripping apart environmental legislation that may leave this country, when the Conservative government is done with it, in a mess.
More news broke this week about search and rescue. Unbelievable news. CBC back home in Newfoundland and Labrador broke the story about how medical calls from mariners are being routed to, of all places, Italy. And it happened with a case on Wednesday evening involving a trawler off Twillingate. Unbelievable. I gave a statement to that effect in the House of Commons on Thursday afternoon.
Honourable Member for St. John's South, Mount Pearl.
Mr. Speaker, there's outrage today in my home province of Newfoundland and Labrador, a long simmering outrage that's reached the boiling point over the latest unbelievable example of how the federal Conservative government is failing our mariners. News broke Tuesday that medical calls for help from ships off Newfoundland and Labrador, and only off Newfoundland and Labrador, were being routed 5,000 miles away to Italy. The calls were being directed to a Rome-based non-profit organization that's been described as, quote, the soup kitchen of telehealth. It was bad enough the Conservatives closed a Marine Rescue Subcenter in my riding, directing distress calls to Halifax and Trenton, Ontario. Mainlanders have a hard enough time understanding my people, let alone Italians.
That about sums up this week in the House of Commons. A lot more happened this week, but those are just the highlights. If you want to contact me, my email address is ryan.cleary@parl.gc.ca. ryan.cleary@parl.gc.ca. Or check out my website, fishermansroad.blogspot.ca. Just go to Google, type in Fisherman's Road and Ryan Cleary, and it will come right up. Thanks for watching. Again, your feedback is more than welcome. Any questions or any concerns, and I'll get back to you right away, possibly on video. Have a good week.